62. We just did 62 decks.
Only 62.
Only 62.
It's more than 2.
Oh, it's more than 2. By roughly 60.
Time's up. Let's do this.
We're in for a wild night.
Welcome everyone to episode 243 of Born to Be Wild, a Wild Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the wild formats of Hearthstone, and spotlighting members of the wild community. I am your host, ElectricSheepCity. It is great to be back on this wonderful Friday evening here in Kickin' Rad, Colorado. I'm joined by a fellow host, Schmoopydady.
The document is in day mode and my eyes hurt.
For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. We record this podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs, and the video version of this podcast is posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all of the podcast apps. However you are watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today. Thank you. Yes, you.
Content plug, Schmoopydady. Before we get into the main topic of the show tonight, I'd like to say a quick thank you to the patrons of our show. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, and comment on this video on YouTube. Another simple way to support the show is to leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. If you're watching live on Twitch, we've got some awesome emotes that you can unlock by subscribing to the channel. This is free if you use Amazon Prime. Finally, if you'd like to support the show financially, you can join the Patreon for as little as $1 per month. We have some channels in the Discord that are unlocked by subscribing to the Patreon where you can see the show coming together each week. Check it out. If you'd like to interact with us personally, please join our Discord, a free and amazing online community of friends from all across the world who love talking about Wild Hearthstone. Links to all of this stuff and more, including our merch, can be found on our website, which is www.borntobewildhs.com. Sheep, how's your week?
Meowdy. My week was all right. So last weekend I had a paper due, the first paper of this class. So I'm already 10% like check mark through the final class of grad school. So the end is nigh. I can very soon stop just saying that that's what I'm doing every week, because that's what I'm doing every week. In their game of Hearthstone, I've been playing Exodia Paladin and Questline Warrior. So that's been a lot of fun. Exodia Paladin, I climbed all the way up to like 500, 300, something like that, and then back down to about 1,000. Yeah. And then I played Questline Warrior and got back up to like 700, 600, something like that. So just having fun, playing the decks that I like and enjoy up and down the ladder. It's been a lot of fun. Schmoopydady, how has your week been, my friend?
Sure. So I guess from like our like Schmoopy update, we upped his meds a little bit. And not a lot of it. And it's made a big difference in the morning. He was starting to act out a little bit. He was starting to lose his stuffing between morning, basically like the morning dose wearing off, lunch happening, recess happening, and the afternoon starting back up again, and him sort of like going through a low and then also like trying to navigate like the most active, unstructured time in his day. So it looks like that he's doing a lot better on that since we upped his dose a little bit. His stats right now, he's 52 inches and he's 69 pounds, which I translated to
nice.
I translated that to like 1.3 meters and like 30 kilograms, if I've got that correctly. like 33 kilograms, something like. He's only 7. He's huge. His head basically comes up to the very bottom of my shoulder, and I'm going to be coaching him this weekend, tomorrow actually. It's going to be on my rec team, teaching him soccer again, and he's excited for that. He really loves soccer. I told him that he doesn't have to, feel like he's like hurting my feelings if he doesn't want to play anymore, or what have you. It's just a weird spot being the coach and the dad, because I've seen like parents live through their kids, and I'd love for him to be good at it, and I'd love to keep coaching him in it, but only if he wants to keep doing it. So,
right.
That's the Schmoopy update. Personal moment as a player. Actually, no. Before that, personal moment for me. I started reading Red Rising. You guys were talking about it. I found the I snagged the book off Amazon. I dropped whatever series I was reading before, and I was just like, you know what, this sounds fun. Let's see what the fun's about. I'm only like 7 chapters in. I read maybe half a chapter a night, but cool. I'm chewing through. I've had a couple of times where I've stayed up a little bit too late reading it, so it's definitely sucked me in here and there. So we'll see. I'll keep an eye out. I know it's one of your favorite books, so I'll keep reporting back little by little, but I didn't even tell you before the show because I wanted it to be a surprise. But yeah, I started that.
I'm so excited right now.
We'll see how it goes. Last Friday, I was talking about how excited I was to compete for West versus East. I unfortunately lost in the first match in the first round, 2-3. I was up 2-1, and I had to try and get my 30 Holy Wrath Paladin through. And I think I brought the wrong deck. Not that the deck is a bad deck, but the deck wasn't the deck that I should have brought. I should have brought like 30 Reno Holy Wrath Paladin where I have more reps, or even an XL Holy Wrath Paladin where I have more time. And I put the match on YouTube, so if people want to check it out, they can check it out.
It's a good watch. Can confirm.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was a good series. I thought I played well, and then I like raided Maxie's chat, and Maxie's chat was just like, you threw. And I later found out that I didn't really throw so much as I took the wrong line in one of the games, or I took like a worse line in one of the games, and to Maxie that's a throw, and thus like the chat thinks they're as good as Maxie, and we're all just like sort of punking on me. But then half the people that were in chat punking on me got absolutely wrecked by Chinese players, where I felt like I hung in there and it was just sort of one deck that was holding me back. So yeah. Anyway, so that was fun to be a part of, even though I went on tilt for like the entirety of Saturday morning and like most of Saturday afternoon, and then finally calmed down. I can say that I enjoyed it, but it was a little bit I was a little bit grumpy daddy then. But my favorite thing that I think I did this week, and this is where I think I can, if you've got my picture, I sat down with an NHL fan and Tom Carter, and I finally got around to talking about how to use HS Guru. I feel like a bad player for not knowing how to do HS Guru stuff. And one of the things that we worked on was like, okay, look up a deck, look up the cards that typically are running that deck, and then look at the drawn impact. And the drawn impact is the best way to sort to figure out, okay, what cards are your best cards? What are your cards that are going to win you the game? And so sorting by, the reason why I picked Ysael Druid for this particular one is in chat on the fly, somebody said, no way you cut aquatic forms. There's no shot aquatic forms are so good. That's how you get Bioproject early. And lo and behold, I said, well, on the combo turn, they're garbage. And I don't think they're that strong before that. And lo and behold, when you sort by drawn impact, doing the stuff that we did, aquatic form is at the bottom of the list, just above Barnes and Ysael. So like that tells you all you need to know, where you really don't want to be drawing Barnes. You want Barnes already in your mulligan. You don't want to be drawing Ysael. Typically, if you're drawing Ysael, you've lost. Or it's the middle of the combo term and it doesn't matter, right? Which is why she has kind of like a positive number. But aquatic form just in general looks bad. It looks like it's a bad mulligan keep. It's like sub 500 when it's a mulligan keep, and drawn impact is the worst in the list. That isn't Barnes or Ysael. But then we got in there and I was like, oh, I'm looking at some cards in here, and you can't quite see, but like 5 from the bottom, 5 from the top of Drawn Impact is Funnel Cake. And I'm like, ooh, Funnel Cake. You know, I cut that when they nerfed it because it felt like it was bad. But if you're drawing that on the combo turn, maybe that's good. And what I'm running instead of 2 Funnel Cakes that a lot of lists run is I'm running 1 Cold Tooth Mine and 1 Innervate. So now checking on the stats of those cards. Well, Cold Tooth Mine is only 1 card below Funnel Cake. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So you draw it during the combo turn. It's good because if you need to go get like a UI, you can go get a UI. If you need to go try and get something lower down in your list, like you want to get the Vade out of the way or something, I am typically using my Cold Tooth Mine early to go get Innervate and use it as a coin to pop off with Barnes earlier. So in general, and I stole that trick from Oddlaw. So I can't even claim fame to that. I stole that idea from Oddlaw. So I'm like, okay, so I like the utility of this. And then if you look at Innervate, Innervate's right above Aquatic Form, which is not a good sign, but it actually has it has one of the higher mulligan win rate stats of the cards in the deck. It's probably near the top if you sort by mulligan win rate. So if you have Innervate in your hand to start,
looks like it's next to only Barnes and Bioproject, just eyeballing it.
Right. And so like if you have it to start, you can boost into your combo turn earlier. So like Cold Tooth Mine a lot of times is going to get Innervate, which is why they work well as a package. So now I have like statistical proof that as good as Funnel Cakes are during the pop-off turn, they're not really useful, and actually they are looking like one of the worst cards to have in the mulligan in the list if you have them there. So it's like, okay, so yeah, I am basically hedging my bets. Do I want a smoother pop-off, or do I want to have a better setup to a faster combo turn? I'm choosing a faster combo turn because, you know, Cold Tooth Mine can also go get a UI if, like, you've got Vate, your hand is perfect, you know you're going to pop off. You can go get a big spell and a big draw, and if you've already drawn through your deck and gotten your Ysayle out of there, it also goes and gets Sleep Under the Stars pretty reliably. So like there's some good reasons to have Cold Tooth Mine in the pop-off. So that's the kind of thing we were doing.
Flexible. Yeah.
For like an hour and 20 minutes, and I recorded it, and I put that on YouTube too. So it's not all about Wild either. I don't know, Sheep can back this up because he's at least consumed part of it, if not all of it. Like this, like how to sort through the data, and like how to look at cards, and how to judge a deck's win rate, and how it changes based on how you sort certain settings. I think that applies to any format.
Absolutely. And y'all kind of mention it in the video, but like these tools are almost honestly more applicable in standard because the sample size is higher. Like there's more data to work with. So using the exact same tools that, you know, NHL fan and Tom and you obviously cover in your video, you can apply that same exact logic to standard Twist if that, you know, comes back and has enough people playing to do things.
Yeah, I think the tweet I had to push the video, it was just like Twist with like the things on the side that make it a strike through in Discord but doesn't work on Twitter. I was like, yeah, I don't whatever constructed mode comes along, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people just sort of like sort by win rate and then they stop. And it's like this, that's a part of it, but that's not all of it. And so we nerd out about like statistics for an hour and 20 minutes. I promise. It's compelling if you like that sort of thing. I would liken it to like, and I said it in the video, it's very much like baseball, like, and how you look at like baseball stats. Because like you can watch a player, and a player can have certain idiosyncrasies and like, you know, certain weaknesses and certain strengths that you don't think could show up in a stat sheet. But then like you come up with this like new metric where you're looking at the new metric, and based off of what you're seeing from that metric, you can imply something about the player's style, and that the styles actually is captured in the stats. And I think like what I just demonstrated looking at the Ysayle list, like that you can sort of interpret the data a certain way based on pattern of play, why certain things pop up. So I don't know. That was a lot of fun, and it's like a lead balloon to start, and I expected it to be as far as like initial clicks wise, because it's not a gameplay video. It's not super exciting. It's super dry data wise, but I will say it's, I think, the first thing I've posted to the channel, and I've posted like hundreds of videos to the channel, that I think is like truly evergreen. Like, as long as we have an HS Guru site as a resource, as long as we have Donkey as a resource, I think it did a good job of highlighting how you're supposed to use the site. So I was really proud of that. And with that, what was our news?
Welcome to the news. The news is so good.
We read the patch notes, so you don't have to.
I skipped so much BG stuff. I skipped way past it.
I did too. Not
Sorry.
gonna lie.
So I can't even say that I read the patch notes.
Yeah.
No.
Agreed. I did not read the vast majority of those.
Sorry to interrupt your flow there, but like I just wanted to qualify. We did not read all the patch notes.
And the patch notes start off with a lot of BG stuff. In fact, quite a bit of it.
Pages. Right? It was like 6 of 8 pages, something like that. Yeah.
It was absurd. It was the vast majority of the patch notes, which makes sense. There's a new like battleground season right now. Like they're doing that whole thing. I get it, but yeah, we're not a battlegrounds podcast.
Nope.
In constructed news, however, Embers of the World Tree, the mini set, is coming May 13th. So that was announced in this patch notes here. So we'll just look at that. We know when we're getting the mini set. Check it.
Can we react to that a little bit? There were a lot of people who were actually super disappointed that we weren't getting the mini set like in 4 days. Like a lot of people. Okay, so this starts with one particular content creator was like reading the tea leaves and was just like, yes, the mini set will launch earlier than expected. And so a lot of people all kind of got their hopes up in the community that we were going to get new cards super soon. Like it's like it'd be way ahead of schedule. This is already ahead. By the way, May 13th is already like about a
super ahead of schedule.
Is that like a full
like a month?
A full like 3 weeks like sooner than it normally would be for us to get new cards? But they're trying to. They did say they were trying to shift the patches a little bit. So like they're going to like speed up this expansion a little bit to line things up and then go back to their normal cadence. So they were never going to spend a long time in this particular set anyway, I guess. So like May 13th is actually really soon, but for some people it was a letdown, it was a disappointment. And I kind of understand why. They were kind of misled a little bit, but like, you know, it's worth mentioning that, I think, because that's sort of a sub storyline in the community.
Completely agreed. So, yeah, coming super soon, like right around the corner. There will be an in-game event that'll correspond with that thing. So, you know, we're going to be getting some card announcements in between now and then, like super duper soon. Whenever the end game event transpires, Embers of the World Tree, May 13th through June 3rd. You'll get packs, so 6 total Emerald Dream packs, 1 Year of the Pegasus pack, 2 epic cards from Into the Emerald Dream, and Ardenwall Home Hunter hero skin. And the hero skin looks pretty cool, like, not gonna lie. I love whenever we get these for free. Like, I always chase the hero skin because that's the biggest like impact for me. So whenever they look cool, I always appreciate it because like
it's worth it. Yeah,
that's always the carrot that I'm chasing. The Heroic Tavern Brawl also is returning. That is May 14th through 21st. It's standard, so we won't really focus on it too much. It's the same like general rules for Heroic Tavern Brawl. So, yes.
I was going to say one little additional detail to add. This is the first one we had in a while that's happening after the mini set instead of before. So remember, people are always whinging a little bit that just like, why are we doing the heroic brawls before a mini set? They want us to roll our gold, right? And now this time, like, you'll have spent your gold, and if you
now
want to
what are you gonna do?
Brawl, now what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do now? So we'll see.
True.
Pay real money to get in, right? So I don't know. So some people do that. These heroic brawls are some people's favorite format to consume Hearthstone. And
it's really interesting to do this one in like you said, the mini sets coming out literally the day before the heroic brawl drops, like May 13th to May 14th. Like, this is going to be brand new meta. Things are going to be shaking up, hopefully.
I hope nothing's busted. Like, I hope nothing's clearly like polarizing and kerfuffled, because that could be a source of real consternation, which I think is a big reason why. Honestly, I think that might be a reason why they typically do these before new cards. I think they want the most stable meta possible to make it feel the best, because if it's unstable and it's like, I know Ron Mexico, I asked Ron Mexico, like, new cards come out and be like, hey Ron, what do I do? And he's just like, just wait like 3-4 days and then like let other people figure out what's good and then play that. Like he would suggest like not even like honestly, he would probably say don't buy in. Maybe you're free one, but like if you're serious about like competing in the brawl, don't buy in until you know what you're getting into, because there is a chance you run into a buzzsaw, right? Like, who knows?
Yeah, especially this soon after a mini set, like, things are just changing. So if you think you've got the meta breaker and you're willing to essentially risk $10 on it, like, more the power to you. But the more prudent choice is definitely to let the meta kind of shake out a little bit before taking to the brawl itself. Teach their own strategy-wise. The Arena update. Schmoopy, do you want to talk about Arena?
Sure. This is slated to be the last Arena update under the current system, launching with the patch on April 29th. These sets are going to be into the Emerald Dream, including the Embers of the World Tree mini set, Showdown in the Badlands, Voyage to Sunken City, Forged in the Barrens, Skullman's Academy, and Core. I am not convinced that cards from Sunken City, Forged in the Barrens, and Skullman's Academy might not be better than Into the Emerald Dream cards. So that's going to actually be kind of interesting to see how that plays out. I know Shadow in the Badlands cards are better than the Emerald Dream cards. So it's going to be interesting to see how the mini set actually tries to balance itself out with some of the other older strategies. There's a lot of like high-powered neutrals in all these sets, and so I think that Arena format could be a lot of fun. I actually kind of like Showdown in the Badlands arenas, because the Excavate getting like the Excavate mechanic lends a lot of different classes to have comps that might not normally have comps. Like Rogue all of a sudden like is kind of like in, kind of out sometimes. Now with Excavate, it like usually is kind of in. Warrior can be completely astray and have no plan or recourse, and just sort of sits there and dies, and now it has Excavate, and that makes it interesting. So I think Mage is going to be busted, because Mage always loves Excavate. So like some people are going to hate that, whatever, stay hating. But anyway, like I think it's going to be a good arena to just like eyeballing it. Looks like a good arena to go out on. Loner deck update with patch 32.2. New and returning player loner decks will update to include Into the Emerald Dream expansion, the main set, not the mini set. So those will roll over and have updated lists and look a little bit better. It's also worth noting that they actually had to change one of the Whizbang decks. To use their words, Flint was shooting blanks in Standard because Quick Draw rotated, and so they replaced him with Astalor. So now you have Astalors in your Whizbang deck if you roll Hunter. I'm sorry. Hunter, I think, is one of the worst ones too. So like, it was really insult to injury that you rolled Hunter. That like half the time you're just playing a river. Is he even a river croc? He costs 3, doesn't he? He's not even a river croc.
Does.
He's an over. He's
not even a river croc.
It's not even a river croc. It's like a river croc with a tax of stupidity on it. So there you go. So that's all changed for you.
More noteworthy than anything else is if it's been a while for you, you know, and you're listening to this because, you know, you've been in the wild community for a while. Like, if it's been 90 days or more, check in. You'll get your free deck. More than anything else.
I've actually, you know, like some people, after a certain amount of inactivity, they're like, Schmoopy, I haven't logged in for 2 weeks. I'm like, do you want to play Hearthstone? They're like, not particularly. Like, why don't you just wait 90 days? like at some point,
right?
At some point, it just makes sense to just sit it out. It's like, I don't know. I haven't opened it for like 2 months. I'm like, why not make it 3? Like, just go for it. Go get your loan deck.
2/3 of the way there already.
And then they come back and they're like, holy crap, they throw so much stuff at us. And they really are generous with returning players, and I think new players too. I've been hearing a couple people going through the new player experience and just echoing stuff that we've said before. It's like they've completely ramped it up, and it's a lot better. So, all right.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've logged in on my Zappy Lambtown account. I could do that.
It's been a while
since I could talk about some decks.
We're going to get DMCA'd. Stop it, sheep. Stop it.
That would be very impressive if we were getting DMCA'd from that.
We're so talented. Do we want to start the discussion topic?
Let's do so. We, by we, I mean primarily Schmoopy, have curated some decks to highlight tonight. So, before anything else, let's just give a broad overview of the 62 I think we said decks that
we did
that we brought to
decks.
feature.
Yeah, we started late tonight. We normally start around 9 p.m. my time, and tonight we started at about 10:48. I realized like earlier today, I was just like, sheep, I said we were going to do this thing, and then I realized I have not thrown the individual sheets together. The original plan was to do an individual sheet for each class and to pop it in the Born to Be Wild Discord, but we soon realized that was madness and that wasn't going to happen. So, I just sort of sat down with sheep and like we typed out like all the decks we think are possibly viable right now on the fringes, a full meta, what have you. So like, some of the stuff we're going to be sending at you is a little bit copy, but I think some of it is real, which is why I think it's a good idea to do a quick overview. So we're not going to go like card for card, list for list. I think we'll be here for another 3 hours. Maybe longer. Like it took us an hour and a half to at least throw the list together. To then go through each individual card, I think is nuts. But
these lists will be available in the show notes and in the Born to Be Wild Discord.
So we actually picked 2 different even BBU Death Knights, which is basically like a Leechy Death Knight. Running the nuclear with Wild Pyromancer and Poison Breath, playing all the 2 mana deal. Well, not playing all the 2 mana deal 3s, but playing some 2 mana deal 3s. And again, choose your top end. I've seen 1 Soul Stealer. I've seen 2 Soul Stealers. One was Walk to Work. Our buddy Ray hit Legend with 1, and the other one is actually shockingly made by Pyramid Head, and I don't have a problem with it. Where it's I frequently will stream Pyramid Head decks, and he's a little bit of an eccentric deck builder. Some decks I question whether or not he's played at all. This one he definitely played. He played up to 115 Legend with a score of 28 and 12. So like he's got the reps in it. Decent deck, and I've lost to like versions of this deck a lot. So I believe in this deck a lot. And without getting too bogged down on individual decks, did you want to add anything to even BBU DK?
I like the like small like leech package that is in Pyramid Head's deck. Not gonna lie, like I think that's really clever. like new technology mixed with our like old technology of the plagues and stuff like that I expected to see. The Soul Stealer's a little top end, but I don't hate it. It looks like a really solid shell.
Missing them sometimes. Yeah, it's like it just sort of grinds you down. Like it's just constantly like sapping away at you. And the leech package does add like a little bit of draw. That 4 mana draw too feels really nice. As horrifying as that sounds, like 4 mana draw too. It's not even an AI, but just like the leeches it leaves behind. The husks. The husks are nasty. Yeah, it just sort of grinds you down slowly but surely.
Yeah, and the walk to work one looks solid too. Like,
yeah, 100%. 100%. Actually, I like the Dreadhound Handler in Ray's list, and there's no Dreadhound Handler in Pyramid Head's list. And he could probably cut something that's like, I don't know. You could argue he could cut a Soul Stealer and like maybe one other card, like a Dirty Rat, to make room for it. But the Dirty Rats are there for combo disruption, so I understand.
Yeah, and Ray's list runs 2 Soul Stealers too, so that seems like that's a popular double inclusion.
Next is Boogerworm's Reno DK. It's got a fair amount of disruption in it. And it's also got Cattle Rustler and 8 Hands from Beyond, which I'm a big fan of. I think if you're going to go like a Reno list, I think DK is slept on for a couple of reasons. I think DK is slept on because, number one, it's very good into aggro. It clears a lot of crap into aggro. Number two, it has a lot of built-in natural disruption that I think is very good. So if you're looking for a deck that's going to be okay, that's like at least tier 3 that you can play into the meta, clearing aggro and then being annoying is 2 pretty good qualifications. The fact that it also runs good yellow cards is pretty good to me. So like I think this deck is fine. I think this deck is good. At least good enough to showcase here, where if you're looking for something that's a little bit off meta, again, maybe it's topping out of tier 3. It is playable though. I do like it.
Which hero portrait do you want to kind of end on? Obviously you're perfectly happy playing both Kerrigan and Reno. But if you like have both in hand and you want like one of the hero powers to kind of conclude with, and you're at 9 mana or beyond, so like the mana's not really a consideration.
Kerrigan prints disruption. Like she prints Dirty Rats basically. So the longer you can get the Brood Queen sitting, I think the better. I think that is a feature that I think is kind of like undersold for a lot of people. Like we play 8 Hands from Beyond, and now our top end includes, that's not getting deleted, Theatar, Mutanus, and Patchwork. Like very quickly our opponent is going to be running out of resources and not playing cards, or will be playing cards for them, or will be taking cards from them. I would probably have Kill Jaden main deck, because like that basically ends it. That's going to guarantee that you're going to outvalue your opponent. He's got it in the ETC, which I think is a little bit like, but like it's a thing you could do.
Especially with the 8 hands, it makes sense.
Yeah, and like we start losing towards the 6s, right? So I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we go like we might miss out on Reno or one of the 6s. Long story short, I think whatever wins you the game, but I like Kerrigan early, especially if I feel like the Brood Queens can sit, because the more Vipers I can get, the more like resources I can drain from my opponent's hand, the better. And then if I need the Reno value, that's great. Probably into Hostage Mage. I probably want Kerrigan up, because the pings are very good into Solid Alibi, and they bypass it. So like I probably prefer that.
Matchup dependent makes sense with that particular wrinkle. Cool. Yeah. Next, we've got BenFromWork XL Blood DK.
Yeah, this is an example of a Blood DK I might play. I probably don't. He doesn't have any Soul Stealers. I like the Soul Stealers, especially in an 8 Hands deck, where basically you're deleting the bottom half of everybody's decks, and now your opponent's playing their top end. And their top end might be hard to remove, not with Soul Stealer. So that's why I kind of like Soul Stealer in the deck. He doesn't have any copies of it. I'd probably run 2. If I were to try and cut 2 cards from the list, probably looking at maybe the Ancients of Yore, but those have looked really good in Standard, and I haven't hated them in Wild. Maybe I'm looking at, I don't know. Honestly, Vampiric Bloods have been kind of like, eh. It's like the only triple blood rune card in the list, but they've never felt good to me to play, because a lot of times I want lots of corpses built up because the corpse explosion is such an important clear. So I don't want to use my Vampiric Bloods and draining my deck from corpses. Once again, Cattle Rustler into 8 Hands from Beyond, OP. That's how you beat slow decks. So like.
I wonder if you're cutting the Vampiric Blood, if there's like a single rune or like BU or BF, but probably BU.
BU's been played. Yeah, BU's been done before. You could do that. There's some good like 2 mana deal 3s, I think, that are single Unholy Rune. I've seen it before.
I mean, Airlock Breach, like I know it also consumes, but it's a different like part of the. It's different game.
It's like a stabilization thing, right? And it's actually and it's also adding pressure, and it's also like, I don't know. I am more willing to consider Airlock Breach. He's still doing like Nidus for Queen and 2 copies of Viper. I don't know if the Viper's bald are kind of worth. So like that's also a little bit sus. I might not do that. And if I get rid of like Nidus and my 2 Vipers, that makes some sense. We really miss the 1 mana Zerg locations being 1 mana, because like that was like extra corpses for the corpse gods, and like they have rushies, and you could like really fight the early game. He's not running any construct quarters either. I'd consider construct quarters to go in here too. So like this is a little bit copy, but just to give an example of like, hey, DK's got some cool stuff that we can play. And again, dominate aggro and annoy control and annoy combo, and see where you go from there.
All of those sound like very fun things to do.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's like kind of underplayed in Wild right now.
Next, we've got one of my favorite decks, which is Pirate Demon Hunter. So this one's got, our single instrument tech. We're getting our magnifying glaive. This is the fatigue one. It looks like with Ariana, Thrill Seeker. So we have one of Glide in this one.
Priest. Yeah, it's a little bit of the pain package. Shaq likes the pain package. He likes the are there acupunctures in this one? No, just the brain masseuse. I think might be the only priest card. I actually don't mind Arana being near the top end, because sometimes your opponent's just got like a giant left, and so you just slap Arana down, and then you go face. Pirate DH has looked tier 1 statistically a little bit off and on for like half an expansion and a half. It's cooled off a little bit recently. Yeah, just quietly, just sort of ticking underneath the surface. I think most of the builds are bad, but I don't mind this one. And I like the 2 Field of Stripes. I like the Hosins. Just mate infinite boards of crap that has charge, and find ways to leverage it with stuff like Kurtrus, and you're going to be fine. Glide is actually pretty good for combo disruption. So like the Glide's actually good. If you're seeing more taunts or like more Call to Arms Paladin, he says swap out the Glide for Kane Sun Fury.
Makes complete sense. Yeah, like, gosh, I'm not sure what I might want to cut instead, because I just really like that idea in general. I mean, I guess we've
probably
got
instrument tech. Instrument tech's so bad.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's how you get your glaives, and glaives really good in the list, but instrument tech is not good.
And we've also got a one of both Dispose of Evidence and Through Fell in Flames. Like I'll probably chuck like an instrument tech and a Dispose of Evidence, and run double the one we were just talking about, that one. Words are hard.
Got you. Sun Fury?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you
Oh
can
yeah,
do that.
I can totally run 2 of a legendary.
Yeah. One of those.
I'll probably run a second through Fell and Flames or something. I don't know. Anyway, next up is Lasagna's Questline Demon Hunter. Tell me about this one.
Yeah, sure. He took this to West versus East, and what we found in the Conquest format of West versus East was that the best decks in Conquest format looked like Fatigue DH, the Questline DH, and Hostage Mage, because you can sort of ban their worst matchup, typically Shadow Priest, and sort of prey on anything sort of slower that's going to come on by. So this is... I liked Lasagna's list. The one little thing that I think is worth mentioning, he does prefer... There's always like this debate going on. Do we run 2 Sigils a time, 2 Glaive Tars, and 1 Glide, or do we take one away from the other 2 columns and add a second like Glide in there? Or just like you don't run all 6 cards. You only run 5. So which one are you going to cut? And the other meta call he took was, instead of running 2 Consume Magics, he took an Eldari Studies. If you are planning on banning Shadow Priest anyway, because it's this deck's hardest matchup, Consume Magic really shines most when you just slap it on a Void Touch Attendant turn 1. Whether it's outcasted or not, you just say no. And so like I can see cutting a Consume Magic for an Eldari Studies, which can still give you some good options. Those are really the 3 things that I would say. I like playing with 2 Glaives. There's a ton of lists that only run 1 Glaive Tar. I've watched KVLT play 2 Glaive Tars for so long. 2 Glaive Tars feel very natural to me. I understand the 2 Glaive Tars are actually probably a harder style to play, and people don't like it and misplay it. So 1 Glaive Tar lists tend to do better statistically. Things to consider.
That makes sense. Makes complete sense. And yeah, this is a little bit closer to what I was thinking of with the more fatigue version, but I'm pretty sure that like a fatigue is coming up. Speaking of, this is not it, but this is an OTK, KVLT's 30 Il'gynoth Questline.
Yep. KVLT going into the West versus East tournament said this is the best Questline deck that's out there. I think he's gaslit himself again, chat. I think it's a good deck. I think it functions. I think it has game into something like Shadow Priest, but I've watched him queue into Sparrow Claw at the top of the ladder in like a best of 15, right? And like he's queuing and he queues for a couple minutes, and then it's Sparrow Claw again. I queues a couple minutes. And Sparrow Claw is on 30 Shadow Priest. And it's not that he can't beat Sparrow Claw, but Sparrow Claw is farming him. And so I think this has game into aggro, and it will work sometimes, but sometimes you will not find the correct cards into aggro, and it's a problem. Into slow stuff, you're on 40 now? Okay, Sparrow Claw was on 40, but regardless, Sparrow Claw's listening in. Sparrow Claw I was watching KVLT get absolutely farmed trying to play this into Shadow Priest, which is a deck it's supposed to have more game into normally. So I'm skeptical on how good it is. I know it's playable. I just don't think it's the best Questline deck, which is a similar position we've been in before, where Tempo Storm once launched like Il'gynoth, like XL Il'gynoth DK way up, DH way up there, and I was like, hold the phone. I don't know if this is really that good, and I think it panned out to be just sort of a little bit of early flash in the pan.
Well, you said that may not be the best Questline deck. Is this what you think is the best Il'gynoth Questline deck?
40 Ilgi is probably still playable, even with 4 mana Ethereal Oracle, just because stuff gets discounted and things are played for 0. Like I'm positive this is still playable. I think it's hard to play. The problem with this list is you can find yourself getting stranded so easily, especially post-Glide. You almost want to have, this is definitely a 2 Glaive Tar list, you almost want to make sure you have a Glaive Tar equipped or a Sigil loaded up, and then you Glide, and then you're kind of like, then you're kind of okay. You find your draw again, but you can brick out with this list, or you can draw like half your deck, and the half your deck you draw doesn't draw any cards, and now you're like, oh god, what am I doing? I'm left adrift. So I've had let's say my ups and downs with this deck in the past. I do think Ethereal Oracles smoothed this off, and unfortunately, Ethereal Oracles were 3 when this list was originally put together. At 4, it's a little worse, but I'm seeing some people do very well with 40 Shadow Priest, and pairing Ethereal Oracles with Miracle Salesman, because now the Snake Oils cost 0. It's an easy trigger for the Ethereal Oracles. So think of it in similar terms here. You're probably going to have a lot of 0 mana spells. I imagine the Oracles are fine.
Yeah. Really tutor draw in a deck that wants tutor draw, that draws 2, smooths the curve out, like even if you're paying full price for things. Makes complete sense. So moving on then to KVLT's West versus East. This appears to be a Malygos Druid.
Yep, went nerfed Dungar. And Dungar's still fine. Now, there are some loops where the 1 mana is going to matter. You can't drop Dungar on 9 and expect to win the game, right? Unless you have, 9 mana, unless you have some additional, Innervate or something like that to speed them along. But if you're doing like Seed into, Frostloaded, or Nightshade Bud, excuse me. Let's say you're doing Bud into Aviana. Well, now Dungar costs 1. Yay! Right? Like, so like there's some goofy stuff we can kind of do where it's like, it doesn't really matter. This deck looks so linear on paper. I know I've said this a million times. I feel like I must be so annoying to listen to. I've said this a million times. This deck looks so linear on paper, like it's going to play out exactly the same every single time. And the reality is it's very flexible, and different pieces can get removed. We even have some space for fun.
The reality is that it does.
No. It's like it's kind of linear, but there's a lot of different ways you can kind of get to the combo, and there's some ways you get disrupted, and you're just like, well, I don't have my Dungar anymore. What do I do? I can get there. Like there's a lot of recovery in this combo that isn't apparent until you've sat down, you played it a bunch. We can even like take out some of the cards that look a little bit like they are. They're a little bit fringe. I would keep the trail mixes. I've become a trail mix truther, but like like Wild Growth or I don't know, probably just a Wild Growth or probably just the Wild Growths. You could get a little cute and you could be like, what if I put in Shattered Reflections and Champions of Azeroth? Like you can get a little bit steamy with the list, and it is worse, but it might be more fun and like a little bit more give you a little bit more
fun
like
podcast,
scam.
so like
yeah. But this is full on murder machine. This is one of the other better decks in a conquest format, where if you don't have to deal with Shadow Priest, like it's going to do very well.
Well, speaking of decks that are good in a conquest format, you won with Astral Druid in East versus West. Tell me about Astral Alignment Druid in the year of our Yogg 2025.
Yeah, Astral Communion's back, and it's back basically facilitated by the fact that Ysera Emerald Aspect gives us extra mana beyond 10. So if you play Astral Communion, it immediately boosts you to 10 mana, but you also get the additional mana ceiling that Ysera gives you. So, in theory, this deck can Astral Communion on turn 1 with the coin. The play that I frequently go for is I keep Trail Mix in the mulligan, and I try to get Astral Communion with either coin or Vate played on turn 2. And then basically if you're dropping stupid stuff from there, you're good to go. No. Trail Mix for the next turn. So like you're setting up a turn 2.
Oh.
So coin Vate Trail Mix on turn 1 means Astral Communion is playable on turn 2 because you'll have 4 mana.
Yeah. Right.
So like that's and the nice thing is you haven't drawn too deep into your decks. You're not losing any kind of resources. This is did they have Jungle Juice when you went to college, Sheep?
Define jungle juice, because I think
if you don't remember, that's not shocking. It's just like
we may have had a different colloquial name for it.
Punch type. Yeah, it's like a punch type drink that is essentially just like whatever you have, just throw it in, right? Like you got a little bit of vodka.
Yeah.
Trash can punch. Yeah. This is like, we called it jungle juice. This is like your trash can punch. This is your jungle juice of the wild format. The Astral Communion aspect is important. Whatever like the Ysera is important. Whatever dumb stuff you want to fit in from there on out. Schmoopy, I don't want to craft the 2 death wings. Okay, don't. That's fine. Put in something else big and stupid.
Big stuff in.
Neptulon, I don't care. Right? Like just go nuts with it, and it'll win some games, and you'll have some fun. So like that's basically my suggestion there. I'm not too dogmatic with what the top end actually looks like. I do think the Ysera the Dreamer is very good because she can bounce herself. So it gives you a lot of resources that you can keep going, and it's cute because she can bounce herself and then also corrupt like the World Tree. So I got the original idea for the list from a player named Pelthun, who's a French player, and I like his deck building. He had the idea of having like Astalor in there and running the Aviana Bran Astalor. Bran is in the ETC combo. And, the only changes I made was I swapped out like a Togwackle package that I never felt like I liked. And sort of stuck in more bigger idiots, and cut a little bit of the whimsy. But I gotta win with this deck in West versus East. Not to do too many spoilers. It's like better Big Shaman right now. I think if you like Big Shaman, you'll probably like this deck.
It looks like a blast, and was fun watching you pilot it on that thing. Well, we've also got Miracle Druid. Miracle Druid looks just like a really tight list, like Barnes OP, right?
I've already justified my Capture Cold Tooth Mine and my Vate, so I will take no slander to the otherwise. But most let's cut those 2 cards and run Funnel Cake again. Funnel Cake's better in the pop-off turn. My stuff is a little bit better, splitting the baby between the mulligan and pop-off turn payoffs. Have what you will. Deck is pretty much solved. Deck is fine. It's a little bit... if you're going to beat an XL deck, and there's a lot of XL decks out there right now, you really need to get your locations down early. Your locations down early so that your burn has that extra pop is super important. I can always tell if a deck is going to end up beating me over the top if I'm on an XL deck, or if I've put up any armor, if whether or not they've gotten a location down, or whether or not they've copied a location off of Moonlit. That's like a freaking nightmare for me, right? If I'm playing Warrior and all of a sudden they've got like 4 locations down, it's like, okay, I might not live through this. But if like locations are the last cards in their deck, you can usually weather the storm and you'll be okay.
Yeah, and I mean, just look smooth. Like Barnes, you seal. Do dumb stuff.
Do dumb stuff fast. Yep. It's fine.
Speaking of doing dumb stuff, we've now got Pelthun's Embiggen Druid. I'm going to talk about this one for a little bit. So, of course, we've got the Embiggen and Amalgam package. Or Embiggen and Patches package, I should say. We've got Embiggen, we've got our pirates, we've got this one goes Peaceful Piper instead of into the 2 mana beast that buffs everything by 1 attack. It runs Adaptive Amalgam. So you Adaptive Amalgam and then you buff up Adaptive Amalgam through variety of different ways. Roar, Hosen Roughhouser, Herald of Nature. The Jerry Ray Carpenter stuff that you get from that, so the soil, etc. So you've got like a nice like amalgam loop with a deck that just likes to draw cheap dumb stuff and buff it up. Like, what's not to love? I love Aggro Druid.
Yeah, this is an old 30, but I still think it's like. It's been popping up as like, hey, this is a deck you could try, and it looked especially playable when Libram Paladin was more popular, because Libram Paladin is functionally like passing turns 1 through 3. So You know, a deck like this that can get under Libram Paladin is really good. And I really do like the Pipers constantly bringing back the adaptive Amalgam. That's getting bigger and bigger and buffier and buffier. And it's just like, you know, we don't have a lot of ways as Aggro Druid to refill or to constantly be applying board pressure, and that's just a cute way to do it. I've actually, when I was like rank 300, 400, I might have been even down as far as like 600, 700. I queued into a rank 1 player and beat them with this list. So like I know it works. At the time, it was very funny. I was like, guys, can we scam rank 1? Yes, you can. I know the list works, and it's probably playable right now. It's probably solid.
Yeah, I think the only change that I would make from this list is changing out the gold panners for composting. Because it synergizes with our adaptive amalgam loop, and of course with our Herald of Nature. It activates that, you know, it's a nature spell that activates that buff for later. So that's legit the only change that I would make. Like, I think this is a really tight list. We've also got Mecha'thun Druid from Larat.
Yes, Larat's so funny, where he's constantly posting his rank 1s with Mecha'thun Druid, and it like he has this like lifetime record with Mecha'thun Druid posted in the title. So it's always funny seeing how many games he's played of just specifically this deck, even though it's across different versions. Lifebinder's Gift is an inclusion over Lunar Eclipse. Lunar Eclipse is that 2 mana deal 3, and then your next spell costs 1 less. This is an interesting and a brave call, because I thought the Lunar Eclipses were really good into aggro. And then Larat said, well, aggro stopped showing up for me. It's like, okay, well, aggro shows up for me. And then he goes, well, you also pop off faster with Lifebinder's Gift. And one thing that doesn't look readily apparent until you've played this version of the deck is post-Celestial Alignment, Lifebinder's Gift makes all your spells cost 0. So if you've got Lady Anaconda up, it already costs 0. It's basically a 0 mana spell that makes non-nature spells now also cost 0. So that's pretty cute, and that does help smooth up the turns. I find I can't win with this deck in one single turn. I usually have to take a more conservative approach and try to win over 2 turns. That's perfectly fine. This deck is more than happy to A&R and Reno and then just sort of sit there and be like, okay, aggro deck, what are you going to do? Are you going to sink in 12 damage and kill the A&R and the 5/5 taunt, or are you going to ignore me and I have infinite draw? So there's a lot to like, and this deck is actually a way more, I'd say, way more resilient into aggro than it looks on the surface.
Yeah, I've never really played much of this combo. Like, I understand what the combo does, but it's never really just kind of been my thing. Maxi has this XL Mill Druid list here.
I included it.
Course.
I included it because people like playing Mill Druid, but like, it's still Mill Druid, guys.
I was about to be like, do you want to cut it?
we could, but like, you know, some people really like playing Mill Druid. Some people really, really like playing Mill Druid. And Maxi built it. It's actually not a bad list. It's just Mill Druid is kind of bad. But if you really want to play Mill Druid, I've got a primo Mill Druid for you.
Next up is Dragon Druid. Dragon Druid looks like a lot of fun. I love playing Kazakusan. We've got Kazakusan. So tell me a little bit about this Dragon Druid. What makes this one special?
Yeah, all right. Fakest real deck ever? New favorite glass cannon. This meta is so cool. This is one of the amazing things about this meta is it feels like it's been the same meta for so long, and yet we still have little gems that keep getting covered at the edges. This is like my favorite part of a meta, and it usually only happens towards the end of an expansion where we start finding these little hidden gems that we're like, oh man, this is cool. Oh man, this is cool. And this is one of those, oh man, this is cool. People were doing very well at high ranks on Asia with this list. the Asia server. Rank 2 and rank 10 were playing something similar to this. I know that TCT Phantom did well cutting Kazakusan and putting in a concert promo Drake, and has done innumerable damage to the wild community in doing so, because I think concert promo Drake is in every way inferior to Kazakusan, both in like fun, but also just like sometimes you need the reach. Sometimes you need to win.
So the promo Drake is an 8 mana tradable finale.
Yes.
Destroy a minion. So if you see that, you'll mostly see it just being traded. That's what that is. And yeah, I don't really understand it either.
Lovely. Okay. I mean, like, okay. I've seen another version that was doing something similar, but running Ysera the Dreamer, again, so that she could infinitely bounce. Well, not infinitely. So she could bounce a lot with Narrowlax, and she costs 1, and her bounce costs 0. And then you're just stacking nightmares on something that can go face. But the animation time is hellish. So you could do that. Mostly this wins by going Narrowlax, Alexstrasza OG on the opponent's face, Alexstrasza Lightbinder on the opponent's face, and then dropping Briar Spawn Drake in behind to hit something small and probably go for the true OTK, not the fake OTK where you've got a bunch of chip damage and then you need 3 Emperor Ticks to do a mark combo. So this deck folds to aggro so fast that it's concerning. I've seen some people have a lot of fun with this deck. I've seen people hit Legend with this deck. I think it's bad into aggro. So what we ended up doing was on my stream, I made an XL list sort of on the fly. Very good player, Germa, made their own XL list, which they've continued to update, but I don't have any of the updates. So I'll give you what I have, which is their version of an XL, just adding Reno-thal for the extra padding. We have plenty of Dragon Druid, running the same sort of dragon package, but now we can also run stuff like, let's see what's in there. Like Lunar Eclipse to help with some early aggro boards. Like we don't just like insta fold to aggro or a Stiff Breeze. We can with the XL package, we're a little bit more resilient to disruption and rats and things because we have more minions, we have more health. I don't know. I just think it's the better way to go.
Speaking of Reno-thal decks, we've got a Reno-thal Highlander Hunter we are featuring next.
Yes, and I had to scrounge for this one because I don't know what has happened. Somebody has decided that Highlander Hunters have to be running 5 beasts right now. And one of the great things that Highlander Hunter does is Selected Breeder, finds Dreadscale, you have your Serpent Bloom, you clear the board. And if that's not guaranteed, what are we really doing in Hunter? Is the problem.
We need some consistency there.
So I picked a list that I believe at very small sample size had like a 37% win rate in HS Guru, but I like the list. I'd play the list. I've probably already played the list. It kind of looks like something that I got posted a couple months ago. So I think this deck is probably fine. I think Hunter's probably underplayed in Wild. It doesn't have to be this exact 40, but something like this looks strong to me. Barring of course, you just make sure that you're doing the right thing and you're not running more than 3 beasts, I think, in Highlander Hunter. I think that's throwing if you're doing more than that.
Yeah, and I always love seeing Mojo Master Zihi in a list. I have to comment on that anytime that happens. It makes me happy. We've next got Zach, or Hyperion's Aggro Hunter. This, of course, has our Wolpertinger and Scavenger's Ingenuity kind of cute combo, which whenever I hit Legend with Copper's aggro one was just so consistent and so good. So really fun aggro deck there. Has our Smuggler's Crate, just strong aggro tokens, get them.
We've got pack runners. We've got you know, Observer of Myths. We've got Nerebar Weblords. Weblord is just really good into the meta right now. So any deck that you can leverage Weblord is just good. Again, Token Druid, sort of a token huntery deck. Go fast, flood board, smork face, profit. Like that's what we're looking to do. I'd almost like take the second deck that we're highlighting from him, the Hunter, the Secret Hunter, and put it in the same vein. It's functionally the same deck, right?
Yeah.
Very similar decks. The reach is a little bit different because of the Strung Bow and the Beastalker Tavish on the top end, but both are very affordable, very cheap decks, and they probably will outperform what you're expecting of them because they are so aggressive in the early game. And again, those nice payoffs where if they've won by turn 4, turn 5, it doesn't really matter that they don't have a whole lot of substance behind those last couple turns.
And to reiterate for the Secret Hunter, if you've never like Scavenger Ingenuity Wolpertingered consistently, like you haven't lived. Like that's a really fun combo that is really consistent.
Play. Yeah. Yep.
Pulling up the hunters.
Yeah, the Hunter, Jormunger Hunter. Ever since the Zerg package got nerfed, I haven't seen a lot of experimentation with this deck. I don't necessarily mean that it's unplayable. I wonder if it's more a tale of like, hey, nobody's playing this because it's been nerfed. Nobody wants to go to the effort of refining it. So I attempted to take a Jormunger Hunter list that I found and refine it a little bit based off of like, all right, let's take out some of the old stuff and put in some of the new stuff. I took an old Iced Dill list that I liked a lot. He used to be running 1 Trial of Jormungers. I think I made 2. And I think we, together, Sheep, decided we were going to add a Tundra Rhino because the Tundra Rhino would act as a sort of a payoff of like, hey, we've already got a bunch of stuff that that really likes to go face, and now we can go face even harder. I think looking on this, we could probably do Awakening Tremors. That might be better than something like Miracle Salesman. I don't know. But
maybe so.
You know, especially since we are running Rhino and we want to go face, but we're only running 3 beasts. We can go find Rhino if we want to find Rhino. And
of course, the entire deck is like built around Trial of the Jormungers, 6 mana, draw copies of 2 beasts from your deck that cost 3 or less. So of course, the 2 beasts that is tutoring are Acid Maw and Dreadscale. At the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to all enemies. That's Dreadscale and Acid Maw. Whenever an enemy minion takes damage, destroy it. So it's just boom, clear the opponent's board, while sticking yourself like a really powerful board that is just going to continue to clear boards on top of the board that you already have. Get them.
Tempo. It's basically it. Tempo. Right? And meanwhile, we're making stuff like Alien Encounters free, like cheap. We're doing Patchwork Pals. We're just trying to build our own boards and smork them down whenever we can find the burst.
We've got Exarch Niall to just like ensure that we have additional draw, tutor draw. Yeah, good deck.
Yeah, I'm not convinced the deck is bad. I'm not convinced the deck is bad. I think that's just it needs a little bit of cooking, and it might not necessarily be this list, but something like this I think could be refined further and do very well.
Well, speaking of a refined list, we've got Hostage Mage. This one is Schmoopy's list in particular, so I'll turn it over your way.
Yeah, this is what I brought to West versus East. The list that ended up winning the whole, the thing that ended up winning the whole thing that OTZ brought, minus my audio amplifier, minus my Dirty Rat, and OTZ brought 2 of the Knick-Knack Shacks. Knick-Knack Shack is great tech if you are expecting questline demon hunters and you're expecting them to be running glides. So since questline demon hunter was incredibly popular, probably good meta calls. I really like the Dirty Rats because Dirty Rat is very, 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 very good in the mirror. And if you can get a Dirty Rat loop where you can do something like Ceaseless Expanse, Dirty Rat, Romath, Ceaseless Expanse, Dirty Rat, Romath, Ceaseless Expanse, Dirty Rat, Romath. You have an infinite loop where you are pulling minions from the opponent's hand, destroying them, and then bouncing the 3 pieces back into your hand. So, like, there's some disgusting loops that you can definitely do. Other than that, I'm a big objection believer. I think that there's only so many crappy minions you can throw into an objection before at some point you're hitting good stuff or your opponent's running out of cards. If they have to play 2 cards for every 1 card you're playing, you're going to wind them down. You're going to grind them down. And
objection is just great.
Yeah. The last cute thing I like in the list a lot. The 3rd card in an ETC doesn't typically matter with a Hostage Mage. You need Light Show, you need Potion of Illusion. And those are 90% of the time what you're playing. But sometimes you need to break the glass, and you need to go get something because of it's a dire situation. The best card that I have liked so far has been Lorekeeper Polkelt. Lorekeeper Polkelt can immediately go tutor your Ceaseless Expanse, or it can immediately go tutor your Romath if you've already drawn your Ceaseless Expanse. I've had both situations happen where it's saved my bacon. I think it's a good 3rd card, and you don't necessarily need Light Show to win anyway. Once your Romath goes infinite, as long as it's freezing the board infinitely and creating infinite objections and all sorts of other disgusting things, you can just sort of like tempo them down and then ping off a Romath every turn. So, not the biggest deal. Again.
And you know, how Hostage Mage works. If you're in the position where you can like ETC, potion, ETC, the 1 mana one, and you have another potion, from Rewind or it's Hostage Mage. And then you can also get Polkelt so that you can just play all of the things. That's also something that you can engineer. So, Hostage Mage doing Hostage Mage things. Of course, we've also got Imbue Druid, this one by Cubby. And so, Imbue Druid doing Imbue Druid things. We've got our Miracle Salesman. Imbue Mage. I know,
habits. So my boy QB made this, and the one sort of sketchy part of the list that he doesn't really like, he's not sure on. He likes the Miracle Salesman, but he's not sure on them. I'm not sure they shouldn't be Dirty Rats. I like QB's approach to Hostage Mage the most. Oh, Hostage Mage. Oh, I'm doing it. Imbue Mage the most. Because instead of leveraging the secrets, he's leveraging the opponent's board. He's got Frost Novas built in. He's got Varden Dawngrasp built in. And he's just sort of like, just stay there. Just stay there. Just stay there. Yeah, Turn 6.
Super low to the ground.
Sing along. Reckless Apprentice. Right. This tops out at 4. Reckless Apprentice, Flutterwing Guardian, Varden Dawngrasp are the 5 cards that are at the top of the list. Everything else is cheaper than that. Timeline Accelerator tutors a sing-along buddy, so that you could play a sing-along buddy for free. Ashen Elemental is your Ice Block tech. Everything else, leave it as is. He's played this to a pretty high level on EU. I don't think Imbue Mage is a very good deck. I do think QB is a very good player. He also is going with First Flame over something like Ice Breeze Chalice. A lot of Imbue Mages board lock themselves, and then it limits how much damage they can ultimately end up, committing to in a turn. First Flame helps you unboard lock yourself while also being a very good anti-aggro tool. So I really like this list. This is the list I've been pushing as far as the Imbue Mage that I trust.
Awesome. Well, speaking of decks lists we know we can trust, we've got Copper's Quest Mage. So this one goes with the giant take on it. What's kind of like the loop that Copper's going for with this one? Because it can pop off wicked early.
I've seen him complete the quest on 2, like a screenshot of him completing the quest on 2, which was gross. That doesn't happen often.
It's not something us mere mortals do.
That doesn't happen often. 4 you can usually do pretty well. I'm usually roping out the quest at 4, but I can complete the quest. Definitely play it on 5. Make your arcane giants cheaper. Hit them with Conjurer's Calling. Right now, the way Conjurer's Calling works, it turns them into 10 drops. Unsure if they're going to turn into 12 drops with the newest change, with how evolves and devolves work. But Schmoopy, Conjurer's Calling isn't an evolve or devolve. Yeah, we know that, chat, but like, they changed how evolves and devolves work, and Conjurer's Calling got changed. So who knows what's going on with spaghetti pasta there. The big calls in this list that you have to make are Coppers running 1 of Volume Up, 1 of Stellar Balance. Some people don't like Stellar Balance. I like it because off of Stargazing, it gets you 2 0-mana cards. To me, that's good. Yes, it gets you other, like, 4-mana cards, but at the same time, that just gives you more fuel to Finley if you feel like Finley is the way you got to go. Volume Up is really awkward to play. I will keep it on the mulligan sometimes with the coin, but Copper mostly says, get the girls, get the burn down, start by playing Sorcerer's Apprentice, follow up by playing Magister's Apprentice, because Magister's Apprentice's aura will go over the Sorks not less than 1, and then away she goes. Ha 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 ha. Don't queue into Shadow Priest with this, but you can have fun against virtually anything else, and sometimes you can even scam the Shadow Priests.
Oh, just nuts stuff there. Moving on is one that will take a while to scroll through. That is Reno-thal. So XL Reno Mage from Engine, or Jen on Twitch.
Yeah, this is like, I don't know. We finally have said bye to Luna's Pocket Galaxy. Thank goodness. Because it's going to be May. Do you like that? Do you like how I weaved that in? Yeah, that's right.
I love that.
I'm a little punchy, chat. I'm a little punchy. Forgive me. But like, you're just sort of dirtling in the beginning, and what you're trying to set up is you're trying to actually set up a galactic projection orb, or at least set up a Magister Romath loop, because you do have, again, you have like Potion of Illusion, Ice Block, Freezing Potion in the ETC. You could honestly, I'd probably consider maybe cutting the Freezing Potion for a light show, so that we have a little bit of lethality, but it's very hard to get to that last ETC card usually. So as long as you're getting Potion of Illusion and Ice Block, that seems pretty good. Galactic Projection Orb should also be always replaying one of your 3-mana spells, and the only 4-mana spell, I believe, in the deck list is Potion of Illusion. So if you start replaying Galactic Projection Orb with Grey Sage Parrot, Grey Sage Parrot goes infinite. And so you can get away with having more than one 3-mana spell, because they're going to get repeated probably. So there's multiple ways to start taking your opponent hostage and torture them to death slowly, while also playing yellow cards. Hooray, hooray, hooray.
This is the way. Another XL deck, but this one is a bit more mysterious. One might call it a secret.
Yeah, XL Secret Mage. This is probably playable at low MMRs, or if you see an abundance of Holy Wrath Paladins. If you hate Holy Wrath Paladin, if you can't stand Holy Wrath Paladin,
I can't.
Secret Mage is a good cue for you. Secret Mage might be the best hard counter to Holy Wrath Paladin there is out there. And the high roll of a Lunith into Kill Jaden is a real win condition. That is proving to look correct.
Oh,
it's
that I love that
there.
loop.
It's getting there. It's like navigating the fact that like your turn 1 sucks. You're passing unless it's Costume Singer. Your turn 2's okay. Your turn 3's not ideal. It's really 4 and beyond is what you're trying to get to, right? And so like you can be annoying and you can sort of disrupt the opponent, but it's really tough to get like a ton of tempo down. I included it because it's like it's an off meta choice, but like don't expect too much of it.
Makes sense. Well, something that has definitely come back into vogue has been Libram Paladin, and this is Corb's list.
Yeah, Showdown Beam looked bad in this list, but it's also better than the options that we had that we could do. So we've got it, and we cut some bad cards for it, and it's Libram Paladin. I have seen Libram Paladin fall off a cliff. The play rate of Libram Paladin is way, 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 way down, and so it being so far down, it's hard to find a better list than this because no one's really refining it. I've run into somebody on Ladder who's running a really weird list that's also running Velen for reasons. I don't know. Just the Velen combo so that they're just like, I guess, make infinite boards of Velens. Sure.
I mean,
great.
This one runs Troubled Mechanic, so I guess it gives us more things that we, I guess, technically want from that, but I don't.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the Troubled Mechanic. I would run Zephyrus in that slot. I really like having that
New
little
Zeph,
extra
the 3-mana one?
No. OG Zeph. Because Myrmidon. Because of Libram of Charity.
Yeah, because we're drawing like,
whoa. Libram of Divinity. You do cycle through your deck a fair amount. And so, like, cutting Troubled Mechanic, put in Zeph.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I mean, you're playing Libram Paladin, for God's sakes. So it's okay at lower ranks, but it really does fall off, I think.
Next up, we've got Extra Large Call to Arms Paladin.
Okay, this list looks like hell. This list looks disgusting.
I see a Mysterious Challenger.
One Mysterious Challenger, one Prismatic Beam. The Ursang Mauls go hard. The secret package is crazy. There's a Sacred Trial in there. There's a Redemption. There's a Reckoning. Like there's some
Toreth the Unbreaking. This is
we're getting up to some shenanigans. There's Christology. There's Christology in it. We're getting up to some shenanigans. Real talk. Sinferno hit rank 1 with this list. Went 7-0. I mean, he only had 7 games to play, but he steamrolled through them. Did well in China, which is where it came from eventually. I've seen a couple people play this and sing its praises. I have played 1 game of this deck, and I was supremely impressed. It looks like hell. It kind of works. Wouldn't shock me if it was a popular bring to day 1. I don't know if I want to, but I might. It's got Showdown Beam. Can still do Showdown Beam stuff or just Showdown stuff and then drop a Weblord. Weblord is so good in this meta, I don't know if it matters. That's the thing. It's like a lot of decks, if you can leverage Weblord, you're good to go. A little hidden synergy that I did not expect. I saw the Ursane Maul, right? The Ursane Maul is actually kind of cool. Especially because it's like, okay, let me really chunk through my top end to get to my Crusaders Auras and my Call to Arms, right?
Right.
The really cute synergy is you have Toreth down, and then you put Seal of Blood on something. That gives it Divine Shield. And also, we're running, where is she? Blood Matriarch Liadrin. She gives things Divine Shield.
She sure does give things bubbles.
And if you've ever given a Trapdoor Spider a Toreth bubble, now that is something to behold. So, there's some, and Redemption is really cute for bringing back, okay, I finally killed your Weblord. No, you didn't. It's back with Redemption. And oh, by the way, I have Blood Matriarch Liadrin down on the board now, so now it has Divine Shield and 1 health. You make so much annoying, sticky stuff. This list is pretty okay, I think. It looks like hell, but I think it's pretty okay. Can it get refined further? Probably, but...
Yeah, what feels kind of weird to me is that, the consistency of doing the Order of the Court into a Call to Arms play is what I'm kind of used to, that kind of loop. But this is Reno-thal. This is giving us a slightly different, a longer approach, and thus more probably consistent in that, especially with we do get an Order in the Court, then we get Beam, Toreth, Challenger, which then gives us all the things that correspond really well with Call to Arms, Heal to Blood, etc., etc. So it makes sense. The loop makes sense. It's just different from the Call to Arms Paladin that I'm used to seeing.
And Torith has looked good in stats, both in just normal Call to Arms and to begin with. But then if you're doing Torith, there's no way you're doing Torith in 2 beams. You probably cut 1 beam for Torith. And now if you're cutting a beam, there's some boards you don't clear. It's a little bit of a give and take, I would say. A little bit of a give and take. But this deck is actually probably better than it looks. And we've already done, if we recall, way back when, we've already done XL Paladin, actually. XL Taxes Paladin. So this is just sort of building it in a slightly different way.
Yeah, makes complete sense. Well, something a little holier than that is Holy Wrath Paladin, this one from KVLT. We've got our 1 Enter the Colosseum, Cold Feet, but then, of course, our Holy Wrath, Lorekeeper Polkelt combo.
I think the biggest deal
Shack
out of this version than, say, the 30 version that I brought that I refuse to showcase because I feel smudge about piloting it poorly, but also I think it's like a tougher pilot. I like the coin generation in this. I think the coins make it a lot easier to find lethal quickly. In fact, I had a turn 4 lethal that ended my stream. For whatever reason, my stream died after I got turn 4 lethal. My internet just kapooped, and it was with this list. It was with this list, and it was because I generated coins. I had enough coins that I could find turn 4 lethal, and I was just like, okay, cool, let's do it. So I like this list, and I would co-sign this list.
Can confirm. Strong list. Well, we've also got an XL Reno version of the Ceaseless OTK. I can't imagine that this would be any sort of consistency with,
you'd be
being
shocked.
Highlander. Really?
You'd be shocked.
Really?
You'd be shocked and appalled at how consistent you can get, like, Ceaseless on 5, especially through the power of our Lord and Savior Overplanner. It's just kind of gross. The Explodinator tech in this list is so cute for the mirrors, because it's just like, oh, you want to order your deck a certain way? Oh, you want your dredge to be a certain way? No, you don't. And you just drop the Explodinator, and now it's shuffling a bomb into the deck. Anything that I think that says shuffle right now is something you have to pay attention to, especially if you're going to be facing a lot of Holy Wrath Paladins that want to order their deck a certain way. The more you can mess with their heads and mess with it, I think the better it is. I really do. But yeah, no, I mean, it's just like play good cards. Play good yellow cards, good yellow card strategies. When you see an opportunity to do the combo, you do the combo. And again, with Order in the Court, the power of Order in the Court, sometimes you just go for 25. Right? We've got Shirvala at the top end. Sometimes 25 is just fine. And so, you run Shirvala and you run Ceaseless, and you go from there. The most common way I think that you end up winning is you do something like Crystology pulls Amethyst and Finley. You high roll. You have Crystology pulling Amethyst and Finley. You have Order in the Court in your hand. You play Order of the Court. You draw Ceaseless. You Finley. Now you have Knight of the Anointment down at the bottom of your deck. Or Crystology if you haven't used Crystology yet. And you can go get your Holy Wrath. And now that you've gotten your Holy Wrath, now it's just a matter of finding a 2-mana dredge to find lethal, because Finley orders things that came into your hand last as the bottom. So the last 3 cards to enter your hand, whether you generated them or swapped them or whatever, those will be at the bottom. If Ceaseless is one of those 3 cards, it's GG's. So you'd think it's not that consistent, but the game loops that set up situations where it is consistent are very, very easy to tutor and are very easy to execute.
Well, we do have a more conventional call to arms paladin up in here with 2 Order in the Courts. Does have a beam Toreth before
and Toreth
call to
could
arms
be beam.
and Crusaders or Aura, but yeah.
Toreth could be second beam if you wanted to.
I definitely like putting Toreth out in there. Like, let's experiment with it. Let's see how worth it is, and maybe we cut it for second beam later. But it's the new funness, and it makes sense with being so consistent with all of the bubbles that we have in the deck that I like it.
Noble Mount is technology too. I'm just noticing that. That's kind of cute. That's a cheaper blood. That's a cheaper seal of blood that you can slap on something, and with a Toreth bubble, and now it's like really, really bubbly. And then the token that pops out, also super bubbly. So like I see some real benefits to that.
Mm-hmm. That looks like fun. And of course, Nerubar Weblord, call to arms, like the standard Taxes Paladin shenanigans going on there too. We've also got Exodia Paladin. We've had a whole episode covering this deck, and it's still decent. I've climbed up and down like 500 ranks and with it, absolutely fine. The fact that I climbed with it is the
you can hammer it down
noteworthy
too.
part.
Like I don't know. Some people want it nerfed. I don't think it's nearly good enough to warrant the nerf.
I think it's fine. Like, it's part of the rock paper scissors of everything.
I haven't said this on air yet.
Oh yeah,
I said this in one of the videos. Exodia Paladin is like statistically falls crazy off the higher you get the legend ladder. It goes from being like a 57% win rate deck, which is close to tier 1 or is a tier 1 deck, to like a 40% win rate, a 42% win rate deck. It's like hot garbo. The higher you go up in the ladder, it doesn't freaking matter, man. Like I don't think it's worth. I think the problem is like what decks are you queuing into it? Because it does auto beat some decks, which like I guess if you're playing a negative tempo, trying to make my opponent lose, not interested in actually winning slot pile, yeah, you're gonna lose to Exodia Paladin a bunch, and you probably deserve to.
And honestly, if you are not in the top of the ladder, like most of us, then it's perfectly fine. Like, not saying it's a meta breaker. It'll get broken, but it's fine. Decent deck. Next up, we've got XL Highlander Exodia, which this is some spice.
I lost to this deck a couple times climbing this month.
Ooh.
You just you do Reno stuff for a while until you can set up your Exodia combo. And what's nice is with Ysera Emerald Aspect at the top end, the idea is that you can play your Uther and like your timeout on the same turn, or insert some funny combo. Like you can kind of like combo the same turn that you Uther, which is I don't know if that's true, but you get the idea. It's like you're less tight as far as mana goes than the other scenarios. It is running 3 hero cards, but I've seen people play this. This is on like the copier end of stuff. Why would you play this over Holy Wrath Paladin? You wouldn't. But like some people like playing this kind of style of deck, so you can give it a shot.
Looks like fun.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got Blessed Priest, which I think is just always incredible.
It's really aggressive. It's kind of hard to play. If you see a lot of Shadow Priests, this deck eats them alive. There's so much healing in the list. There's so much rush in the list. There's ways to buff stuff up. I think Maxi really likes, instead of Pelagos, Blade Master Okani. No, not Blade Master Okani, excuse me. Blade Master Samuro, because of the board wipe. I have never in my life triggered Blade Master Samuro into a meaningful board wipe with this deck. You fight for boards so hard, and you have so many other tools that I don't think he's necessary. Amathul is like your oh shoot handle, right? Like that's your break glass and panic. But Pelagos, on the other hand, is like an extra copy, feels like an extra copy of, let's say, like Inner Fire. So I've liked Pelagos in the list. I can understand having Samuro in the list. The list is unchanged.
I like the redundancy of Pelagos.
Despite getting nerfed, the list is unchanged. If you see like a lot of... What I like about this list a lot, and KVLT thinks that this would have been like a great fourth deck for West versus East, is it beats a lot of the other fourth decks. Like if your opponent's fourth deck is Shadow Priest, like you run them over with this. If their fourth deck is something a little bit dirtier, like you can stick a Crab Rider very early and end the game like turn 3, turn 4. Like sometimes it just ends. So
the crab rides again.
The crab rides again, yeah. So I believe in this deck. I would co-sign this deck, and it's not all that expensive either. It's just over 6K dust, but that's for the Amathul and the Pelagos, and some of the epics. You could cut some of the epics, and you could make it even cheaper. Draws a lot of cards. You got Northshire
Draws like
and
wow.
Clergy and Fan Club and some goofy stuff. Like you draw a lot of cards, Chad.
Well, next up, we've got a friendly face, XL Shadow Priest. What more needs to be said than get him?
I'm not in love with the Smorky Axe. So I got this list from Sinferno. Again, we've cut Raised Deads. Good. Cut Raised Deads, chat. Raised Deads are garbage. We don't need Raised Deads. But it's running like the Miracle Salesman Oracle technology that I've heard so much about. And the other cute card that I like is Benevolent Banker in this list. And I thought about it. I was just like, well, if you play it when it's yellow, you're stealing a resource from the opponent that you don't want them to have. Seems pretty good. If you play it when it's green, you're tutoring your burst spells. That also seems pretty good.
That seems good. I think,
and it's a big butt in a Void Touch deck. It seems fine. This list actually seems pretty clean. And I think the one thing I might change is the Zilliax. I don't know what I want the Zilliax to be, but I don't want it to be a Smorky Axe. Though I understand early Smorky Axes might do well. Maybe a sing-along buddy? I don't know. I really like my sing-along buddies.
Yeah, who doesn't like a buddy?
It's fine. It's again, consistently, by the way. I know people talk badly about XL Shadow Priest all the time. Not saying you do specifically. I know you prefer 30, but I know some people are just like, oh, well, it's trash on NA if you play XL. What hogwash? XL Shadow Priest is still like 5 percentage points win rate consistently above like 30 Shadow Priest, just consistently. So,
and I still prefer 40. Hydra prefers 30, but I prefer 30 or blah blah blah. I prefer 40. I prefer the XL.
Do you now? Okay, I wasn't sure. I thought you preferred 30 for some reason.
Nope, other way around.
We've converted.
It's all good.
Okay.
But we do have a 30 that we're featuring here with, of course, Hosen Roughhouser. That's a very important aspect. And, of course, our pirate package. This one is very Senshi-ish.
I stole this list from Senshi and changed one card. I cut his Raised Deads and I put Hosen Roughhousers in. We have forgotten, Chad, how good Hosen Roughhouser was in the pirate deck. And this is a pirate deck. Hosen Roughhouser will do very well, I promise you. So I like this 30. This is what I would bring to the ladder if I was going to play 30.
Shadow Priest good, whichever one you play.
Mm-hmm.
Well, another Shadow Priest, maybe slightly less consistently good, at least, is XL Highlander Shadow Priest. I do believe it's Shadow.
Oh yeah, we're purple.
Yeah, there's a Dark Bishop Benedictus. There it goes.
Yeah,
it's 40 cards to look through.
Yeah, I took this list from someone named Vengeance who popped into my chat. They're just like, hey, I've been doing really well with this list. I think it's really good. It's like, okay. Then I looked at the list, and if you go to the top end, there's a Sister Savannah, and there's an Aviana Loon's Chosen. He's like, oh, yeah, it's so cool. You play Aviana. And then, like, later, like, your Sister Slavana, her spells, they cost 1. And it's just like, it's OP, right? And you have Shadow Reaper Anduin up. And I'm like, this is so greedy. This is so incredibly greedy. There's no way, right? but I've kept winning with the list. I have not done the funny once, but I'm like 7 or 8-0 with the list. So I like the list, the bottom half, how it's crafted. I think I'm probably, if I really meant business, I would cut the Sister Slavana, I would cut Aviana, and I would instead put in like Behemoth and a main deck spawn of Shadows and call it a day. I might even do something kind of crazy. I might cut Lotheb for Boom Pistol Bully and just go from there. Let's just go from there. I think taxing Battle Cries whenever you can do it, especially if you can do it asynchronously, is a benefit.
For sure. I want to at least try to achieve the Svalna Aviana
I also want to try the
combo,
funny, which is why I'm still playing the code. But like I tell you what, like the ETC was a mess too. The ETC had a freaking Geist in it. You don't need a freaking Geist. My God. All right. Anyway, Grumpy Daddy.
Well, something that's a little miraculous is Miracle Rogue. It's back. It's still here, and it will be here forever.
Yeah, OTZ took a Corb list that was running Prize Plunderers. Really, the funny that this is trying to achieve that is different from past lists is we're using Swift Scale Trickster to make Saladrasil cost 0. And then we're trying to play something immediately after it to corrupt the World Tree spell. So your options are Blackwater Cutlass or Prize Plunderer, because everything else is going to be reduced to 0 by Trickster unless you've gotten somehow super cute with your giants. You probably haven't. I also, what I really like about what OTZ did was, this used to run 2 cutlasses. He cut a cutlass for Shadow Step and then proceeded to get a lethal because they could play Zephyrs twice in a turn to get Wind Fury and Flare to pop an ice block. So like there you can do some disgusting loops with this, and I like the inclusion of Shadow Step. Other than that, plays like normal Miracle Rogue.
Dope. Moving on to Mech Rogue, this one from Camas. And Mech Rogue doing Mech Rogue things. We've got our Lab Constructors. We've got our Ziliax Haywire Power. We've got our Memoron. What makes this deck, this list in particular, kind of stick out amongst the other Mech Rogue lists?
The Cold Blood. For me, the Cold Blood. The amount of times you're giving something stealth, and now you can slap Cold Blood on it and possibly Wind Fury is very good. You're trying to go all in on an early Memoron, or you're trying to go all in on an early Smorkiax Deluxe, or you're trying to go in on an early Lab Constructor. And if you haven't Lab Constructed and then started slapping on little Spark Bots on it and watching the copies replicate, you haven't lived yet. It's just really stupid. This deck can go tall very quickly. It doesn't skate through the list like the old versions do, but it does a very good like going tall and then punishing you if you can't remove it. Good deck. You could definitely hit Legend with it.
Speaking of good decks, this one is a loop that I'm not very familiar with. This is an APM deck. This is APM Draka Rogue. And I've heard good things about this deck, but I've also heard some like cheaty things about this deck.
Yeah, I think the new high score for this deck that you can achieve on like a artist tablet with a stylist is 62. There's actual footage of somebody hitting it 62, like by hand, like doing silly things. What you're mostly doing is you're taking advantage of like little holes in the animations. Like you can play Tenwu and then grab Tenwu and then Tenwu the Tenwu, and like it looks like it's called pillaring is how they refer to it. It's like you're doing it and they're skipping their way up to the sky because you keep like playing it and playing it and playing it and playing it. It's almost like back when we had like Shutterwalk Shaman and you'd play Shutterwalk and you also had like a grumble loop going, so the Shutterwalk would get bounced back to hand, and so it'd be green and you'd play it before it went back to your hand. If you remember doing that. It's similar it's similar to that, but you're taking advantage of it because the Tenwu can actually go and grab the green card. There's silly ways that you can like skip past ETC animations that are completely legal, that are just like tap the right spot at the right time. Like there's a lot of little tricks that you could do that end up helping you out. There's a Shadow Demise line. Unfortunately, you could argue, looking at the top half of most of the ladders right now, there are 3 or 4 players that do cheat at Draka Rogue, and they are taking up about a third of the top of the ladder. So that's a problem right now. This deck probably does get hit, but it's very good and it's very fun. Unplayable on mobile. Senshi, that's actually, it's a little bit of a misnomer. It's actually easier to do a lot of the maneuvers on mobile because you're using your fingers and not a mouse. So you can be a little bit more dexterous. So, like, that's actually not even true that it's unplayable on mobile. That's, like, one of the weird things about it. But, like, most good Draka players are happy if they're hitting between 34 and 36 on a dagger. And then they're creating a board of stuff. So functionally, you've lost. And if you're playing a 30-card deck, you've definitely lost. If you're playing a 40-card deck, you haven't lost yet. But, like, it's pretty rough. So.
And chip damage, you might have lost anyway.
100%.
We've also got Reno Rogue, this one from Arai. So what's the kind of like funny gameplay loop that Reno Rogue is trying to achieve?
Dude, like all of them, like it's just kind of like recursion off of recursion off of value. Hey, let's get Hooktusk. Let's bounce
Hooktusk there.
Hey, let's get Astalor. Let's bounce Astalor. Hey, let's get Dirty Rat. Let's bounce Dirty Rat. Hey, let's get where is he? Is he in this list? No, that's unlucky. All right, there's no Velarok this time, but you get the idea. It's just like get on out there, be obnoxious, bounce around.
Feet Garona.
Yeah, Sandbox Scoundrel into playing a 3-drop into the next turn. Bran Sandbox Mini into Shadowcaster Scabs, which then bounces the Bran and the mini back to hand while also clearing the opponent's board back to hand while also making 2/4 duders. Like, there's just dumb stuff you do, man. I can't. This is one of the more complicated. This is one of the more complicated rogue decks that like one of the more complicated Reno decks that you could play. Where like I've caught myself getting paralyzed by analysis because I'm just like, oh my, how much mana can I save here? It's just kind of stupid.
So many ways to do rogue things, but also
you just sort of rogue all over the place. It's kind of complicated.
Makes sense. Well, there's also a non-Reno-thal version, which looks to be fairly similar. We do have Maestra of the Masquerade, so no one knows that we're rogue at first. I always love when that happens. That's always fun.
You're trying to play a rogue card to trigger Velarok. This is kind of built around Velarok, and this is built around Swiftscale Trickster into Saladrisil. And not only that, I've even included as a resource a little Billy video of the person who either is, I forget if they've built the deck or they're very good at the deck, and they're like a VTuber, and so they're sort of speaking in what I'm assuming is Mandarin to you and telling you about different combos. But what's really cool is their graphics behind them are phenomenal. So you can kind of like, even if you don't understand Chinese, you can kind of just sort of scoot through and see like the different things that they're telling you about, like, hey, here's this cute combo, here's this cute combo. This deck is mostly trying to win with bouncing a charger, going face with cold blood and sort of burst turns. And you can get a lot of burst from Saladrisil, you can get a lot of burst from cold blood, you can get a lot of burst from Zephrys on a charger. Like, there's just a lot of different ways to find lethal from there. It's a tempo deck first and foremost. It's very aggro, but it's mixing that like aggro Highlander style where Zeph is a big payoff, as well as a couple of other really cool cards. So I would try it. It's fun. I think it's also hard. I don't know what the mulligan is. I can't fathom. It must be just Velarok and a 1-drop pirate, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Just like go rogue them.
And a very different rogue doing rogue things than the 40 version. I might add, in a fun way. OTZ's got a control rogue listed on here. This one's also Reno-thal. We've got our Astalor and our ETC. We've got our Scabs. We've got our Hooktusk. we're doing steely things. We're doing roguey things.
Being very roguey. Yeah, and this is a style of rogue that Copper Scum first initiated a couple, I think maybe last expansion. He's like, oh yeah, this is going great. It would auto lose to Libram Paladin. Like, it didn't have a long-term solution to Libram Paladin. So he'd play it, but like he'd be like, all right, just don't queue into Libram Paladin, whatever you do. Now that's fine. That's fine if you want to queue into Libram Paladin or not. But like, just play it like it's like Hooktusk Rogue, or play it like it's Pirate Rogue. Find Toy Boat, draw a bunch of cards. Eventually, your options open up for you, and you find ways to end the game. Whether that's through Hooktusk, whether that's through like getting Astral out of your ETC, bouncing that a couple times. You find your value, you win. Mista Vista can be very good. You find your value and you win.
Excellent. Well, next we've got Alex Rogue, another roguey thing. So what's our kind of like loop for Alex Rogue? Just like very basics.
Don't ask me. I'm terrible at it. It's like you want one mana left over. You want 1 mana left over, and you want to play Sharks, Scabs, Shadowcaster onto the Scabs, Scabs. You want ETC. You want to go get bounce around. You bounce around. You play Scabs. You play Shark. You play Scabs. You play a second Scabs. You play Alex. You play Shadowcaster on the Alex, and then you go face with the Alex. And you hope they're 30 health because that's what kills them. If it's not her at 30 health, you have to go the potion line, and my brain breaks. I misplay this deck so often. It's incredible. A lot of people don't request it out of mercy now. But I used to know how to play it. I think 2 Cutlasses is a little weird. I think I think 1 stick up is a little weird. I think 1 evasion's probably fine. The Lucky Comment is supposed to high roll so that you can really activate your Scabs while also having something to throw into the Okani. So like that's an option. 2 Cutlasses seems like hell, but like, what are you gonna do? I don't know. There weren't not a lot of people are playing Alex right now. If you've got sort of the bug to play a combo rogue, you're playing Draka. So, but this is playable. This is like a fine, solid deck that's a little bit slower, but like it works.
Excellent. Well, we've also got a Pogo Rogue. This one from Super Based.
Don't queue Shadow Priests. If you don't queue Shadow Priests, this is a very, very fun deck. These Twisted Web Weaver that we just got, this expansion, goes so hard in this list because you're playing Pogos, and you've shuffled Pogos, and then Pogos draw Pogos, and Pogos draw Pogos, and Pogos draw and you're just constantly drawing. And I played against one poor Skipper Warrior. I've got some screenshots where I managed to Lab Recruiter, Twisted Web Weaver, Lab Recruiter, and Pogo, so I was going infinite. So like I was just like kept making more Pogos and more Web Weavers and more lab tech, and more lab recruiters,
drawing more of the same,
and just drawing more of the same. And I still have like 40 cards in my deck, and my opponent's running out of resources, and like I'm making 40/40s, and it was just a little silly. We're trying to add Ziliax, OG Ziliax, that you can slap on a giant Pogo to end it versus Shadow Priest, but at 5 mana it's super cope. I almost want to see a serrated bone knife in here. But I
have the Diamond Ziliax. Like, I want to play that.
Yeah, the deck's fine as it is. It's pretty all right.
Well, now we've got an oldie but a goodie, Pirate Rogue. So this one's got Cold Blood. We've of course got our draw, like our Secret Passage, and of course our toy boats. We of course are running Hosen Roughhouser, Swordfish, absolutely core in my opinion. Parachute Brigand, Patches the Pirate. Like we're doing Pirate Rogue things, and we're getting them.
There's a very interesting argument to be made that we're supposed to be running at least one Sword Shiner and Quick Pick over Swordfish, which I think is not completely unreasonable. I think it's an interesting way to take on the deck. Definitely don't need instrument text anymore. Definitely don't need any shiny finders.
Yeah.
We're not running harmonics anymore. It's all burst from board. So you really want to slap your Cold Bloods on a South Sea deckhand and then Sailboat Captain and woo and win from there. I lose to this version more than I lose to some of the other versions of Pirate Rogue. But like Sheep and I just sort of cooked this up because we couldn't find a good list. And we were like, you know what? This will work. That'll do, Pig.
Yeah. And, you know, there's always the Swordfish into a Charger, South Sea deckhand. Like, feels like it happens pretty consistently. Like, always solid. Moving on, we've got Anchorman's Hooktusk Rogue. Hooktusk Rogue doing Hooktusk things. We steal our opponent's stuff, and they can't play anything. It's great.
Yeah, look, this is running 2 quick picks and a swarthy sword shiner. Like that's like, you know, it's just you're giving up. You're going for a little bit more draw, a little bit more cycle at the expense of damage to face, and you can kind of afford to do that because you're doing Hooktusk stuff.
Yeah.
It hasn't really gained any new cards, so I didn't go nuts. Keep it simple, stupid, and we just said, you know what? Just use what Anchorman was doing. Good enough for me.
Even Shaman.
Yeah, Even Shaman's picked up a bit. I don't know what it's feeding on. I don't know if it was.
I don't either.
I don't know.
Beat it.
I see some Even Shaman players, some habitual Even Shaman players, as high as like 200, 300 ranks above me. So like I don't know what they're doing, but yeah. So Schmoopy and Sheep threw together an Even Shaman deck. I think we are in a double devolve meta. I think we agreed with that. Like there's a lot of good devolve targets right now. So that works. I like Hydration Station. I think it's another opportunity to make something go attack that might not otherwise have attack yet and also is scaling.
And it's Hydration Totem for those listening at home.
Oh my goodness.
It's the 2 mana 0/3 at the end of your turn. Give adjacent minions +1/+1. I do it too. I understand.
It's late. It's late for the Schmoopydady. And
Truth.
we decided as a final one of at the top end of the list a Horn of the Windlord because why not? We could do honestly. I don't hate doing like Hearthstone Brew at the top of the home brew, at the top for Even Shaman. Why not? We could do that for fun. But yeah, Even Shaman's probably
so about
fine.
Horn of the Windlord for Hearth makes sense.
Yeah,
either one.
It's probably fine.
It's the 30th card in Even Shaman.
Next, we snagged Bone Masher's Big Shaman. I think Big Shaman is in a tough spot. Doc Delight has cut Muck Morphers entirely, going all in on Ancestor's Call. He is not an Onara fan. This looks like mostly what you'd expect as a completely normal, like, Big Shaman deck, except it's a little bit more Onara friendly in that we've got, like, Vivid Spores and a couple other things, or if that gets cast, it's, like, a little bit weird. Yeah, I don't know. One Walking Mountain is interesting. I guess you got to cut something to throw Onara in there, but, you stick a Walking Mountain, you throw a Jam Session on it, that's usually lethal. We're not doing any Rock Biter stuff because Rock Biter off Onara sucks. It feels like the deck got more high rolly and also worse. So, like, I don't know. I think Big Shaman has lost a step, but it's a popular deck that people like and people play, so let's list something that's working for it. It is playable.
It's a high rolly deck. Like, it makes sense that the people who like the high rolly deck are liking the thing that is even more high rolly. So it scratches that itch. Next, we've got Highlander Reno-thal XL Shaman.
Yeah. This had some important cards unnerfed. Oh, this should have... well, they didn't decide to build around the Curator. I think the Curator's kind of busted. But it's hard to find a good beast to run in Shaman, I guess. So, like... They don't have a Curator built into this right now. Unlucky. But this list seemed fine to me. I gave this to somebody in my YouTube comments who's like, Schmoopy, give me a good Reno list. And I looked at this and I didn't immediately vomit. So, like, that seems fine. I do kind of like the Serenite Chain Gang and the Twin Fin Twin and, like, multiple ways to get little copies. The Ziliax Deluxe that's doing, like, the twin copy. I like that. But also, it's not like the end-all, be-all. Like, we're not looking to go infinite, but it's nice if we do. We still have, like, Velen, Leader of the Exiled, if we want to drop Velen with the Chain Gang combo to just sort of cheese some wins against some board-based aggro. I think that's fine. I'm not convinced we don't have room for Murmer. I'm sure we do have room for Murmer, and we could cut some of this stuff and figure out a place for Murmer and Curator and go from there. But you know, this is a list that I saw that I liked. It's leaning a little bit more into the Murloc package, which I think is good because, you know, the Murloc package is good tempo, and it's also good deck thinning. So this seemed fine to me.
Absolutely seems great to me as well. Next up, we've got the Sinferno's Murmer Shaman. So this is the OTK, where does Murmer and what else? How exactly does it OTK? It's pretty easy, but
yeah, it goes. You need Murmer, and then you need enough mana to play Ysera Emerald. Oh, sorry, you need enough mana to play Shutterblock into Ysera Emerald Aspect. You can achieve this with a Lightning Bloom, or you can achieve this with 2 charges on a Parrot Sanctuary. Do not use Parrot Sanctuary before Murmer, because Murmer sets them back to 1. So do Murmer, then tap your Parrot Sanctuary, then start playing your sillies. But you do Shutterblock into Emerald Aspect, into Shutterblock, into ETC, pick your Astalor, your Eater of Secrets, your Shutterwalk. I have Eater of Secrets in there. I used to have Ashen Elemental. The reason why I swapped to Eater of Secrets is somebody in my chat was absolutely disturbed and disgusted and said, but what about Evasion? So I was like, all right, fine, screw it. What about Evasion? All right, fine. This beats Evasion where Ashen Elemental doesn't, so there you go. You can do that. Play your Astalors. Play Shutterwalk, which repeats Ysera's Battle Cry, which means you get your stuff again. Play the 5-mana Astalor first, and then you should have 4 8-mana Astalors that cost 1 that you have plenty of mana for a grand total of my what is it, 48 burst or something like that. My brain is fried at this point.
But a ton.
A ton.
And then you just OTK.
A ton. More than enough. More than enough, and it pops off
and
pretty
because
regularly.
of Murmer, you actually have the board space to continue doing all of these things, and because of Ysera, you have in the Shutterwalk pool, you have the kind of turnaround, the gas to continue going to. It makes sense. It sounds like a really fun loop.
Right. Here's what's kind of evil is like you can run some board clears. I've seen some lists do Lightning Storm as well, but we run Baking Soda Volcano. You can run enough anti-aggro that you can kind of take a couple of early turns and be overloaded to clear some boards to buy time to then eventually just like run somebody over. So like it's okay. It's playable.
Totally playable.
I was going to say along the lines of being playable. So is Boogerworm's Togwoggle Shaman, which I've played 2 games of and won 2 games of, and I think like it's a very similar combo, right? So like you're going in on when you have enough mana to do the Murmer thing. So you're doing Murmer, Shutterblock, Ysera, Shutterblock, ETC. Play all 3 forms of Astalor. Play Togwoggle, play Azalina Soul Thief. See where that gets you.
So you're basically a Tog deck on top of doing all of the other
I guess we could have killed them, but instead we stole other stuff, right? Like, and like very specifically, there are very specific situations where it's actually better to do the Tog version, like if Lumia's up. But yeah, no, this was fun. This was a cook.
And we still got the Astalor stuff to like end the game, and if that doesn't end the game, we lock them out on top of having done all of our shenanigans. Makes sense. Next up, we've got XL Highlander Warlock. This has a lot.
So the question I always get is, but Schmoopy, there's no Piggy. No, we're not doing the stupid Piggy combo, okay? We're not doing the Glinda Piggy combo. I'm going to get real freaking grumpy in a minute if you suggest it again. What I kind of like is the 3-mana Fey Trickster goes and gets either Symphony of Sins, which is a very important spell for us because the right Symphony of Sin will get us a cheap Sargeras that we can then play on turn 6 for 3 mana, or it gets us Cataclysm, which it's a very important spell for us because it can nuke the opponent. So nuke the opponent's board. So like that's we only lose 2 cards. There's a nice, it's built around the Curator very nicely. You've got a Velen package. You've got a, and then you've got like just disruption galore. Mastro played this up to top 10 on EU. He has a YouTube channel. If you want to go check that out, you can go check out and see him playing gameplay of it. I think it's good. I think it's a good deck.
Excitement abounds. Next up, we've got a fun Fatigue Seedlock.
Yeah.
This one going in on our giants and doing, it's seed, so doing demon seed things, doing fatigue demon seed things. I feel like we've talked about this deck a fair amount lately.
Yeah, Wizzy invented it. This is Sinferno's improvement of it. I like it. There's a lot of healing. I like Curse of Agony as a cute way to shuffle the deck when your opponent's a paladin and they don't want their deck shuffled. So, like, Curse of Agony, normally absolute trash card. In this particular situation, you see Order in the Court, you rip Curse of Agony, you cackle on your way to the bank.
Haha.
Aha.
So, next up, we've got an XL Seedlock.
Yeah, impermanence went a little Chinese. Some one-ofs in here. Rotten Apple, Backfire, Hellfire, all a one of. Everything else pretty standard. He is running 2 Ultra Fires. Again, Order in the Court, looking to absolutely eviscerate whatever he can find. After the Ultra Fire, Polkelt, whenever you see some sort of ordering or you just want to YOLO it, he's YOLOing it. That's the tech that he's using.
Yeah, I love how clean the ETC Theo, like, oh, you just gave me 10 mana, boom, like, I have it and I can just steal your Uther, easy clap. Like, It's very well built.
Playing like normal seed with a fair amount of healing built in.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got Piggy Warlock, where if you really want to do the Piggy combo, just do the Piggy combo, man. Do Glinda... get an Expired Merchant or something to, where is it? Oh, Dark Portal to make Aggro cheaper, and then just spam it. Just go nuts.
So you Symphony of Sins.
You get Symphony
the
of
Dark
Sins.
Portal. Oh, Dark Portal. There it is. Sick. And Dark Portal either gets like Glinda, Geppetto, or Agamag. So yeah. Oh yeah, that looks like fun. That looks like a fun loop.
Yeah, you could do fine with it. It's a little bit copy, but like it's well built. And then we touched up an Even Warrior. We took Martian Boo's Even Warrior. We cut the Dredge package because it doesn't work anymore, right? Because Ceaseless isn't even. We put in 2 Panners and a Theatar and one other card. I don't know what other card we did.
What was it?
I don't know. Well, at least 2
Polkelt,
Panners and Theatar
maybe?
for sure. Oh, Polkelt, yes. Polkelt, too. And the reason why we're justifying Polkelt is Polkelt gets you your Shield Shatter immediately. But then when it comes down to Sleep Under the Stars, eventually you're going to either top deck Odin or Sleep Under the Stars. At 10 mana... Sleep Under the Stars, draw 2, refresh 3 twice is going to get you. You're going to have enough. You're going to have 9 mana, and you're going to be able to 9 mana, 8 mana.
You'll go down to 8, which is enough for Odin.
Odin's playable,
and you can drop
the part
Odin.
that matters. So you can draw through. If you top deck a Sleep Under the Stars, you have found Odin, and he's playable that turn. So that seemed clean to me, and I think this deck is probably underplayed. It is kind of a sitting duck to combo, but it can sort of grind through value okay, and it absolutely dumpsters aggro.
Yes, it does. Well, we've also got a Chad Charge Warrior. So Chad, of course, being the Thaddeus monstrosity. What is our Chad trying to do?
Chad is trying to do Chemical Spill into Monstrosity, into copy it with a Battle-Worn Faceless, and then eventually give one of your copies charge, thanks to Muckwater Scribe, which will make charge an even spell and thus free. And so, like, draw through your entire deck, make copies of a Thaddeus with charge, and go face. There's also a version which swaps out charge for sanitize, and one other minion for Mecha'thun, and you try to draw through your whole deck and sanitize and Mecha'thun for lethal. It's kind of copy, but there's a lot of people that think it's just so much fun. There's also a version that like goes infinite and like drops boom bosses and shuffles booms in there, and like, you know, you just opponent go boom.
That sounds like fun. Well, next up is one that we've talked about on here quite a bit because it is a very good and consistent deck into particularly the early meta, and that is XL Odin Warrior by your boy Schmoopydady.
I made one change. I saw somebody cut Fizzle for a call to the stand in the ETC, and I was just like, yeah, most people hate Fizzle. That's fine. So I did that for the tournament because like now my ETC is also a 5-mana Dirty Rat, which can be useful some matchups. Some matchups that's your only out. So like, yeah, all right. I'm down with that.
Yeah, call to the stand is 1 mana. Your opponent summons a random minion from your hand. Spell.
Yeah, so like that's fine. I think the most common question I get is like, why not Starfish over Coroner? Well, like, I've got a skipper board that's like activating an effect and giving me armor. I don't want to Starfish my board. Yeah, but like Starfish gets rid of multiple taunts. I don't need to get rid of multiple taunts. I can plan to get rid of multiple taunts. The thing that scares me is Velen. If there's 2 Velens on the board, I concede. If there's 1 Velen on the board, I'm going to coroner it. And you know what? I've had to coroner quite a few things. And actually, coroner as far as like options to pick, coroner is probably the most common option that I pick because it's 2 mana, it's fairly playable, and it freezes and silences something. So like it's like kind of just fine. So yeah, I really like that list. It's one of my favorite things to play.
And can confirm, like, super solid. Very fun deck. Fun
Sheep,
list.
you're going to have to lead the discussion on this next one.
I definitely am. So this is my quest line warrior. So we've got our Raid the Docks quest line. We've got our, plethora of 1-drop pirates. We've got our, 2-drop pirates and ship's cannon. We, of course, have our 1 weapon of Ankar. We've got our hose and roughhouser. We've got our Defias Cannoneer. We're going Reno-thal, so we can like trade versus aggro and go face versus like non-aggro and like actually win both. And I have. We've got our puffer fists. We've got our Light of the Phoenix can be like literally anything else. I just still haven't changed it since we had that one conversation. It's like, oh yeah, these other things would be good, and then I just didn't change it.
Oh yeah, I forgot what I said.
Yeah, I don't remember either. Mr. Smite could totally be something else too. Like,
oh yeah,
Mr. Smite's kind of a high roll after you've like Rokara, totally unnecessary. Yeah, oh yeah, Mr. Smite could totally be KJ.
Yeah, you could throw KJ. I kind of like Smite. Maybe Smite at 7 is a little rough, but like I kind of like Smite because all of a sudden anything you get off the Juggernaut is a missile that you could send at your opponent's face. So like I don't hate Smite really, but yeah, but I would
maybe
definitely do
cut Crag for KJ.
Yeah,
KJ makes complete sense. So it's a fun deck. I've won some with it. I've lost some with it. I basically maintain my rank whenever I play it. And I mean, what else can you ask for something that's spicy, right?
Yeah.
Moving on then to Warsong Warrior.
All right, cool. Warsong Warrior. Yeah, this is a deck that's pretty regularly played by 1pers on the EU server. You're basically just looking to do to the front, drop yourself a Warsong commander, and then behind that drop a skipper and some Frothing Berserkers, and then copy some Berserkers and go face with some gigantic Berserkers. The combo itself relies on either you playing extra minions or your opponent having 2 minions on the board. Keep that in mind. And we cycled through our deck very quickly to pop this off. It's probably
so
fine.
much draw.
Yeah, it's probably fine. Which means if we're not going to talk about Chad Mecha'thun, because I couldn't find a list for Chad Mecha'thun. Damn, we're down to 61 lists. Only 61 lists, Sheep.
Only 61 lists.
It's
unfortunate.
It's a disaster.
We're going to have to re-record the whole thing.
Highlander Warriors, our last list. Yeah, I mean, I think some of the cards are weird. I don't know about Iceblood Garrison. That seems mega sus to me. But, you know, this deck first started looking good when it was farming Libram Paladins. And I think in my mind, like, you know, Booger says, like, wait, you don't play Mill Druid. Play some other disruptive deck like Warlock or Warrior. They do a better job of it. Like, you know, you drop a disruptive Spellbreaker. How are you going to get rid of a disruptive Spellbreaker? For goodness sake, it's got 4 health, and it's got 6 health, and it's got 4 attack, and it costs 5, and just like every turn, boof, there goes your Holy Wrath. Boof, there goes your other Holy Wrath. Just grumpy, grumpy, grumpy. You can make people grumpy with this list. And Deep Miner Bran allows for you to get a lot of really cool value.
So fun.
I don't know about the Skulking Geist. I guess it's like very specific seedlock tech. I'm not even sure if deleting mass productions is even worth doing. I don't know. But in any case, like, you know, I know this deck has been very good in the past, especially when Libram was more popular. Wouldn't shock me if it's still playable now. And like, this is just sort of like this is all just sort of been like a big testament to how wide open the meta is right now, how much of these decks you could probably play and get a decent win rate with them. Are you going to go 500 with every single one of them? Probably not. Were there some that we left off? There are some that I looked at that I was just like, you know what? I don't know if I have a good deck list for this. Like Pig Priest, for example. I'm sure like Pig Priest I hear is actually pretty good at some MMRs right now. I don't have a list that I'm super confident on, so I just didn't bring it. Didn't bring it. We had enough other things to do. So hopefully you guys find something that you like to play in here, and give us some feedback on any changes you made to any of the lists. Sheep, anything you wanted to do some thoughts on?
Unrelated advice with Schmoopydady.
Unrelated advice with me.
So, Schmoopydady, sometimes I sit down to play me some Hearthstone. This is more related than unrelated. That's okay. But I'm just not sure what deck I want to play. Now, this week, like this month, like until there's a meta shakeup, like I've got us covered for tonight. But beyond tonight, like, beyond the decks that we went over tonight, rather, what do you do when you're looking for decks to play? When you want to kind of be competitive, when you want to climb, but you don't necessarily want to just play what you're seeing against every other game on ladder.
Okay, so I am probably the single worst person to actually ask this question, because this is
oh no,
this is what ends up happening day one. Day one, like day 30, day 31, day 28, day 29. I'm filled with whimsy. I'm like, oh, I can climb with this. I can climb with this. I can climb with this. What ends up happening day one is I turn into a jerk. I turn into a straight spike, and I say, no, I am going to play with the thing that makes me climb the fastest. I want to get up there. I'm going to climb as fast as freaking possible. And so my tolerance for losses and losing streaks goes way down with stuff that's like off meta or I don't think is good. So what is my approach? My approach is, first and foremost, I try the best thing, because I think I'm at a point where if I'm playing the best thing, odds are I can probably skill difference somebody in the mirror. And Shadow Priest, that's been like mostly true. Some months it's more true than others. There's some months where I'm just on fire and I'm just like clearing through people, and there's some months where it's like, well, the meta's really not worth it to keep bashing my head with Shadow Priest. Last month was like that, which is why I skipped to Skipper Warrior. My next step is, do I have something in the hopper that I think is going to be good enough that it's going to start taking advantage of some of the matchups that I'm seeing, while also being okay into the matchups I've been winning? Because nothing tilts me more than swapping decks, and all of a sudden the decks that I was beating playing the other deck, I am now losing to with the new deck that I'm playing. So you really have to, I'm in a privileged position where I have so much access to so many different decks that I'm spoiled for choice, while also, like, you know, do my own special me powers. Woo-hoo. I know too much about Hearthstone, and also I know a bunch of different decks to try, right? Like at some point I can be like, oh yeah, all right, I'm just gonna play Blessed Priest now, right? And I know how to play Blessed Priest. Like there's so many people that'll net deck a list and be like, well, all right, I'll shoot. Shmoopy plays Skipper Warrior, I'll play Skipper Warrior. And I guarantee you there are matchups that I'm just gonna play better than them into, where I can tolerate playing into a Reno pile with Skipper Warrior, because there's certain ways I can
navigate it.
I know how to navigate the matchup very well, right? That's one of the things that worries me when I push that deck out. Sometimes it's just like, man, I mean, you're gonna absolutely trash aggro, but like there's some of like the harder matchups. People are like, oh, this is impossible, you can't do it. It's like you probably skill issued it, honestly, unless they played Vel and you didn't have an answer. That's like the one I win that like I lose, that it's just it's tough to do. And Holy Wrath too. Holy Wrath is a pain in the butt matchup. You almost have to you have to get your bulwark, and then you have to keep your plate clean. You have to hope it's good enough, and then they're going to carriel, and then you have to somehow combo through carriel, which you can do with 2 armor smiths, but it's tough. So it's just, I guess, long story short is, start with the best thing. The best thing that you can stand. And then once the best thing runs out, try to pick something that is all, and this sounds very simplistic, right? It's like, well, of course, pick a better deck. But try to pick something that you're already going to be winning the decks the matchups you're already winning, but maybe helps you beat some of the new things that you're seeing. Because although that sounds like, well, you're just finding the perfect deck then. Well, yes, for that perfect situation, but you're not going to be seeing the full meta when you climb, depending on when you're climbing. Right. You might be seeing more aggro, you might be seeing less aggro, you might see more control, less control, more combo, less combo. And if it really is just like a swath of just variety, me personally, I just pick hyper aggro and I don't look back.
Wiser words have never been spoken, and you heard that on
Born to be wild.
You know how to get me to say wiser words have never been spoken. Just say go aggro. Like, you knew what you were doing.